What will you do?
Rebuild it. Just the way it was, brick for brick.
You're going to have thoughts come to your mind of why you can't get it. You have the ability in your conscious mind to reject that idea, kick it out of your mind. Thinking of why you can't do something is never going to do you any good. And keep thinking until you start to think of thoughts of how you can do it. And the way will be shown to you. It comes in the form of images in our mind. Think of how you can and not why you can't.
I think you have to work every single day. I think that's where your confidence comes from. Because when nobody's looking, that's the time that really counts. That's the time that really matters.
You don't want it. And that's the harsh reality. I can't give you it. You can't give them. We can give you ideas. At the end of the day, when I was losing the weight, I had to miserably wake up.
Your excuses will destroy you and take everything that you ever wanted from you if you let them. Because when you look around at your life and you look around at your job and your financial situation and your relationship and your physical health, and when you look at all those things and all the problems that you may have with those things, and you say, the reason I have all those problems is because of me, that can hurt. That can sting.
Life is a range of emotions. Yeah. To not want to experience something, one, is inevitable, but two, it's the fear of the pain that comes attached to that you don't want. When you understand that that's naturally a part of life, you embrace it and you navigate through it because that's what life has to offer you. And the fact that you're alive and you get to experience it is the gift, whether it at the time seems enjoyable or not. You chase things that you can't catch. You don't chase things that belong to you. Yeah. Right? So people chase happiness because they think that that's what they need, when in reality, happiness is just a byproduct of becoming the best version of yourself. So instead of chasing the emotion, become the type of person that is experiencing that emotion, and you can be in that state more consistently.
When you're pushing to be better, when you're trying to progress your life, when you're trying to improve your situation, it is always going to feel like a struggle. It's always going to feel extra hard, and you're always going to feel like you're f***ing it up. That is the nature of what it feels like to push into new territory, to expand your personal boundaries. You have to understand, just like if you were going to get into a cold swimming pool, when you first jump in there, it's cold, and you jump out of the water and you're like, oh, you can't breathe. And then after a few minutes, it's normal. You don't even notice it, all right? And so what you're going through is the acclimation process to expanding the boundaries in your life. When you're pushing to be better, when you're progressing to be better, it is always going to feel like a struggle. It's always going to feel like you are not winning, when in fact, you actually are.
Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary.
I always say the best day of a man's life is the day he realizes that nobody's coming to save him. If he can know that and feel peace about it and almost be excited about it because he gets to go fight his own hero's journey, he'll win. If he can accept it, he'll win. Because you take entire responsibility for your life. Too many people give up responsibility in their life so they can point the finger at somebody else. If you take all of it, even when it's not your fault, I've had to do this so many times, particularly around hiring. You take responsibility for everything, regardless of whose fault it is, or the market, or a race, or religion, or who's president. I don't give a who's president. I'm gonna win no matter what. Your blind grandmother could be president. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna go to work, I'm gonna do the same thing I did yesterday.
You can't have an easy life and a great character. Show me a trust fund kid that inherited a bunch of money, and I'll show you someone mentally tortured. Having stuff isn't fun. Getting stuff is fun, right? It's not the pursuit of happiness, it's the happiness of the pursuit, right? It's that thing, and it's not like, you know, the self-help, it's not the journey, it's the destination. It's not either the journey or the destination. It's who you become on the journey. And here's the terrible thing about life, it's self-assignment.
If you have an idea that you genuinely think is good, don't let some idiot talk you out of it. If there is something that you feel is good, something you want to do, something that means something to you, try to do it. because I think you can only do your best work if you're doing what you want to do, and if you're doing it the way you think it should be done, and if you can take pride in it after you've done it. No matter what it is, you can look at it and say, I did that, and I think it's pretty damn good.
And the other thing that's so interesting about being alive is that you're all in. No matter what you do, you're all in. This is going to kill you. So I think you might as well play the most magnificent game you can while you're waiting. Because do you have anything better to do?
The consistency of work. Monday, get better. Tuesday, get better. Wednesday, get better, right? And you do that over a period of time, not like 1 month or 2 months. I mean, it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. And then you can get to where you want to go.
We make decisions with feelings. 95% of our decisions are made by how you feel in the moment. And that is the problem. You need to take control of the moment and leverage the power of your decisions and make them up here. Because when I was lying in bed, I wasn't saying to myself, I should get up because that's going to help me start my day right. I was saying, do I feel like getting up?
No, you don't.
No. Do you feel like making that cold call? No, you don't. Do you feel like doing that third set of reps? No, you don't. Do you feel like having that hard conversation? No, you don't. Do you feel like ending this relationship, whether it's in business or in your life, that is sucking you dry? No, you don't. We make decisions based on our feelings, and that is robbing you of joy and opportunity.
Where would you be in your life right now if all the plans you ever made for yourself in the past you had executed on without fail? Stop and think about that first. No matter where you are, no matter how old you are, stop and think right now. If I had executed on the plans I made in the past 100% with 100% effectiveness, where would I be currently? And think about that, okay? Because most people would be in a completely different place, living a completely different life. And the reason they aren't in that completely different place, living that complete different life, is because they don't have the ability to adhere to a plan. That is where it's at. It's not that people don't know what to do, it's that they can't do it when they don't feel motivated. So when you think about what skill can you build that will give you an advantage over every single other human on the planet, because I am in a competition with other humans for those placings, and you are, it is discipline and the ability to adhere to a plan.
How did you find peace? I took away your parents. Everything. I scarred you for life.
See, that's the thing, Shen. Scars heal.
No, they don't. Wounds heal.
Oh yeah, what do scars do? They fade, I guess?
I don't care what scars do.
You should, Shen. You gotta let go of that stuff from the past, because it just doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is what you choose to be now.
In the short term, your success depends on your intensity. In the long term, your success depends on your consistency. Do not sacrifice the latter for the former.
The fear that people have when they're starting out is that they say things like, I have nothing going for me. I have no advantages. I have nothing to my name. I have no money. I have no network. I have no resources. But it also means that you have nothing to lose, which makes you incredibly dangerous. And I think people wildly underestimate how many shots on goal you can take when you have nothing to lose. Whereas when someone has something to lose, they have to be more and more selective about the shots they take. And so you have the perfect conditions for taking risk, because the worst case scenario is baseline, is where you're currently at.
Don't waste your time. Do you know that everybody alive gets exactly the same amount of time we get all there is? It's what we do with it that makes the difference. Don't waste your life. Set your goals high. Quit thinking about what's wrong. Start thinking what's right. Love a little more, hate a little less. You have no idea what you're capable of doing. Make up your mind today, you're gonna figure it out.
The generation that I grew up in, your parents were always like doctor, lawyer, all these big jobs that you do. Happy. Happy is what you should want your kids to be. What makes you happy? What is it that you love and that you're passionate about and that you want to get up every day and do? You want your kids to be happy. You don't want to just go get some job where you sit in bumper to bumper traffic every day and go sit in a cubicle at a job you hate just to pay your bills. You have to figure out who you are and what excites you. What are you passionate about? And I truly believe that when you figure that out, it all just sort of falls into place, you know, because when you get up every day and you would do something for 13 to 15 hours and it doesn't feel like work, how do you not succeed?
Why are you waiting for somebody else to believe in you and to have more control? You got to gamble on yourself. You got to know that, hey, listen, when I gamble on myself, I have the utmost confidence. I know what the outcome is going to be. Put your health in your own hands. Put winning in your own grasp. Don't wait for somebody else to hand it to you. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in your abilities. Not only do you have to believe in them, you have to work in them. You have to excel in them. You have to understand them. If you're not willing to gamble on yourself, I'm not going to gamble on you.
A man's most valuable, most important resource is his good name. If a man ain't got a good name, he ain't got nothing. So don't lie. Be respectful. Be respectful to others. Be respectful to your elders. Even if they're not respectable, they still been through life enough. Their position earns them what their behavior won't.
You should be convinced in your heart that you're doing the best you can with what you've been given, right? And hopefully that'll make you less anxious and it'll make you more hopeful. But, you should have the same kind of regard for yourself that you have for someone that you love. And that's not pride. It would be lovely if you could orient your thoughts to yourself so that you could allow yourself to be pleased if you thrived.
And as cliche as it sounds, when you tell a person, hey man, don't take life for granted, right? And I kind of hear it go in one ear, go out the other. But bro, one of the most underrated blessings is leaving your house and making it back home every single day. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's an underrated blessing that we just assume it's gonna happen. And every single day, cats leave the crib and they don't make it back to their children. They don't make it back to their spouses. But we leave our house every single day. We just assume, like, man, I'm gonna make it back. I'll see you later, right? And it's like, man, who promised you that? Every single day, all that comes with it, right? Highs, lows, successes, failures, right? Tough moments, right? Great moments, all that comes with it, the totality of it. Appreciate all of it, right? Because we need all of it in terms of our development and the people that we're striving to become. And I say striving because we're constantly evolving. And so I would say to him, man, always be willing to be stronger than your strongest excuse, and always be willing to extend a level of grace to both yourself and the others. Because if you haven't needed it yet, I guarantee you it's gonna come a point in time to where you're gonna need another individual to extend a level of grace to you.
Unchosen suffering is going to happen in life.
Mm-hmm.
Your parents are going to pass away, loved ones are going to die, your relationships are going to break down, your body is going to fail you, you're going to become ill or sick or destitute. Things are going to happen that you have no control over. And the only way that you can prepare yourself for unchosen suffering is with chosen suffering.
Right.
You can elect to put yourself into a position to become a stronger alloy of whatever the metal is that you're made of. And by purposefully choosing difficult things, you will armor yourself against that situation. It's still going to suck. But think about how much more fragile you would be if you hadn't overcome all of this stuff.
When you work hard to be the best version of yourself so you can protect and provide for the people you care about, you're pleasing God. And you do that so that you can wake up and show him the beauty of his own creation. I can be the best version of me. I can make the people around me have the best possible lives. I'm not going to sit and be lazy or not try. And I believe that's all about building your character. It's not even about the money. It's about being the best version of yourself. If all the money in the world was taken from me, that's fine, because I'm still been a person who's worked very hard, been very diligent, who's very intelligent, who can make it all back. And I've also enjoyed this journey of life, which has brought me here with the good and the bad. And I think the greatest sin a man can commit in the world today is being a fraction of what he could be. I think that's the biggest sin you can commit in the face of your creator.
If you think differently than your immediate family or your friends or whatever your hometown is, one, you probably don't want to be normal. Because if you take what normal means and put it across all aspects of life, it means that you're going to die at 74, you're probably going to be overweight, you're going to, be divorced, you're going to not really achieve anything that you want. Like, that's normal. And so it makes sense that you would be the odd man out because most people live that life. And so like, that was something that gave me a lot of permission to like be me, which was not normal in a lot of, and that's okay. Because I mean, like, ordinary versus extraordinary means that you are not.
If your definition of success is win or lose, giving everything you've got and growing or learning along the way, then you're setting yourself up for success. I really think the biggest cheat code in life is just going after it and not being concerned of whether or not you fail at one specific task. Instead, understanding the big picture what your long-term goal is, and knowing if you keep driving forward and never fucking quit, in the end you will succeed.
And we'll always be together, right?
Simba, let me tell you something my father told me. Look at the stars. The great kings of the past look down on us from those stars.
Really?
Yes. So whenever you feel alone, just remember that those kings will always be up there to guide you, and so will I.
But I can't see them, Dad.
Keep looking, son. Keep looking.
Well, what are you waiting for? Kick the hell out of me and get your standing ovation. Come on.
No, not this time. I don't want to hurt you. I don't want either of us to end up killing the other. But we're running out of alternatives. Perhaps it all hinges on tonight. I don't know what it was that bent your life out of shape, but maybe I've been there too. Maybe we could work together. I could rehabilitate you. You don't need to be alone. We don't have to kill each other. Let me help you.
There's a hell of a lot more to you than you think. Like, way more. Enough to cope with the trouble of the world inside you. There's enough to cope with the trouble of the world. And if you had enough courage, you could let that out. Enough courage and faith, you could let that out, and everything would be better because of it. Really, really. And so that's a good story, and it's also true. And so I'm trying to tell that story.
And what if you're wrong?
Well, if I'm wrong, then what more could I lose?
I think the best way to prove your value is to work, is to learn, is to absorb, to be a sponge. But you always want to outwork your potential. You know, as hard as you believe you can work harder than that.
What I see today is that everything's possible in this world for those who don't quit on themselves or their dreams. I've learned to reach higher and higher with our dreams, to become more ridiculous with our dreams, because they're all possible.
You and I are not so different.
I'm not like you. You're a murderer.
Well, to each his own. I chose my path, you chose the way of the hero. And they found you amusing for a while, the people of this city. But the one thing they love more than a hero is to see a hero fail, fall, die trying. In spite of everything you've done for them, eventually they will hate you. Why bother?
There's no perfect way to live your 20s. You either live them up and become an underskilled 30-year-old, or you work them up and become an underlived 30-year-old. You just have to figure out which you'd rather be, accept the trade-offs, and know that there are no do-overs.
So what? He's scared of love?
Everyone's scared of love, dipshit. You learn that in your 20s. It takes a very rare, very powerful being to be terrified of happiness.
Dumb!
You're dumb. That's why you're not scared to be happy. The smarter you are, the more you know. Happiness is a trap. It can't last forever. Let's say you meet the love of your life. Well, it's still gonna end. It's inevitable, whether by the slow pull of a disease or the shock of loose footing on a hiking trail, whether it be the corrosion of two personalities that reshape each other until they're incompatible, or maybe the old stranger in a bar who says the things that need to be said to that person that night. The point is, happiness always ends.
To be open to learning does mean, at least to some degree, always asking, well, what am I doing wrong? What do I have to give up? What do I have to let go of? What do I have to transform? That can be very painful.
No amount of money ever bought a second of time.
It's like when Kobe said, I was chasing perfection and excellence, even though I knew I would probably never catch it. But just the fact that I was willing to chase it, I would defeat most of my opponents, because most of my opponents would never chase something that didn't have any guarantees attached to it. Chasing perfection and excellence, even though I knew I would never catch it. But he had the courage to chase it because he knew what it would turn him into, and most cats wouldn't even go down the course to chase it because it didn't have any guarantees attached to it.
Be grateful for every single second. The goods, the bads, the ups, the downs, and learn from everything, not only from your mistakes. Learn from everything. Learn from your highest points, your everything. And again, be grateful. Be grateful for why you can't figure it out. Can't understand why you're so awesome. Can't figure out why you're so great. Can't figure out why you're so ahead of your time. Can't figure out why you have answers to things that no one even knows the question to. Be grateful for that.
You know, they told him when he was done. He didn't decide.
I don't want what happened to Doc to happen to me.
But that hasn't happened.
No, but I can't go out on the track and do the same old thing. It won't work.
Then change it up. Try something new.
I don't know, Sally,
Don't fear failure. Be afraid of not having the chance. You have the chance. Doc didn't. And you can either take it, or you can do what you've been doing, sitting in here for months.
If you can get a mental image of the person you would most like to become, begin now to act as that person would act in everything you do. Gradually, imperceptibly, you will actually become that person. It goes back to what the great German poet and philosopher Goethe once said. Before you can do something, you must first be something. Before you can do what you would most like to do, you must first become the person who can do it. A woman cooking dinner has only to act like a great chef to turn out a better meal. The student who begins to act like a top student will begin to get better grades. You can even look much better by simply acting like the person you would most like to look like and be like.
I tell young men, it's like, find something difficult to do. You need that. You're not built for comfort or pleasure. Like, if that comes along, good. You know, if you have a day where you're comfortable and there's some things around you that give pleasure, have some sense and enjoy it. But don't be thinking that's what your life is aimed at. That's contemptible. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that. And if they orient themselves in that hedonistic direction, there's nothing in it but shame.
You will beat him because you are the Dragon Warrior.
Ow! You don't believe that. Oh! You never believed that. From the first moment I got here, you've been trying to get rid of me.
Yeah, once. But now I ask you to trust in your master as I have come to trust in mine.
You're not my master. And I'm not the Dragon Warrior.
Then why didn't you quit? You knew I was trying to get rid of you, yet you stayed.
Yeah, I stayed. I stayed because every time you threw a brick at my head or said I smelled, it hurt. But it could never hurt more than it did every day of my life just being me. I stayed because I thought if anyone could change me, could make me not me, it was you. The greatest kung fu teacher in all of China.
Everybody judges by success of money or business accomplishments or games you won and things like that. The true measure of success is how happy are you. I know some guys that are crazy rich and the most miserable human beings you could ever meet. If you get up every day and you're really happy and you really do enjoy and love your life and you love doing, you're surrounded by people you love doing it with, you could not be more successful. And it doesn't have to be this, my life and what I do. It can just be your own version of whatever makes you happy every day. That is the key to success.
People see me and think I'm weak. They want to take care of me, but I can take care of myself by myself.
You sound like my nephew, always thinking you need to do things on your own without anyone's support. There is nothing wrong with letting people who love you help you.
I think the definition of greatness is to inspire the people next to you. I think that's what greatness is or should be. It's not something that lives and dies with one person. It's how can you inspire a person to then in turn inspire another person that then inspires another person. And that's how you create something that I think lasts forever. Yeah. And I think that's our challenge as people, is to figure out how our story can impact others and motivate them in a way to create their own greatness.
I choose to run toward my problems and not away from them.
Everybody loves a hero. People line up for them, cheer them, scream their names, and years later they'll tell how they stood in the rain for hours just to get a glimpse of the one who taught him to hold on a second longer. I believe there's a hero in all of us that keeps us honest, gives us strength, makes us noble, and finally allows us to die with pride, even though sometimes we have to be steady and give up the thing we want the most, even our dreams.
My goal was just to not be broke. In the spirit of just being completely open, I used to tell myself specifically, I cannot be f***ing broke. Like that to me was, and I think because I was struggled a lot growing up and I saw how hard my dad was working his ass off. We traveled all around. We were able to pay rent. live a pretty good life. I saw what the end of the road was, and that was being evicted and not having any money, and him and my mom like scrapping. And so for me, it was, I cannot be broke. I don't want that for them, and I don't want that for my family.
And you see, in their last moments, people show you who they really are. So in a way, I knew your friends better than you ever did.
There isn't anything better that you can do with failure, no matter how unjust, than to learn from it. And so as a general attitude, how did I go wrong here is a hyper useful existential stance, right? And it's also a bulwark against hopelessness, because, you know, even if it was 95% situational and 5% you, if you adjusted that 5%, maybe that'd be enough so that the next time that situation arises, you'd come out on the positive side of it.
Rise, young warrior. You must get up. Your journey is not over.
I can't fight him. He has all my weapons. I have nothing.
When you began your journey, you were determined. Nothing could stop you. And now that you are so close, are you willing to give up so easily?
It was easier at the beginning.
Beginnings are often easier. But think of all that you have accomplished along your journey. What you have learned from your battles with the bear, the snake, the monkey.
What's the point of fighting my way up the mountain when someone else is just going to come up the easy way?
There is always going to be someone who does things the easy way. But that should not stop you from doing things the right way. It is your journey, young warrior. Only you decide when it ends.
If you could change the way you wake up in the morning, stop saying, I got to go to work. I got to work out. I got to get this weight off of me. I got to go and meet with the people at the school. I got to deal with my coworkers. Change one word in that sentence and everything about your life changes. I get to wake up in the morning. I get to go to work. I get to go and meet with these people today. When you say I got to, you take all of your opportunities and all of your blessings and you wrap them up in stress by saying I got to. You take all the stress off of it when you say I get to.
Anything lost could be found again except for time wasted. And my favorite motivational quote was by Inky Johnson. He said, when you work hard for something, you develop a different type of attachment to it. And a person will have a cold day in hell before they try to take it from you. We live by this, we die by this. We don't surrender, we don't retreat. Every man must search his own soul.
Character's not something we inherit, regardless of who our parents were, regardless of where we were raised, regardless of how we came up. Nobody can inherit character. They can't come to you when you're born and say, you got character. You got to build that.
Life is hard. Everything worth doing is hard. There is no easy path. Everything worthwhile is hard. And just stop beating your head against the wall looking for the easier, quicker, faster, freer way to get where you want. So by accepting the path and saying, okay, this is hard as everything I want to be, everything I want to build, everything I want to do in my life is going to be hard, it makes the path that much easier because now you know the game that you're playing.
You're quite different from other people, and you shouldn't be comparing yourself to them because they're not like you, you know? They don't have your family. They don't have your temperament. They don't have your troubles. They don't have your abilities. The only person that has those is you.
There's a great Chinese expression, a great old proverb. The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is now.
The best way to contend with problems, with issues, with adversity is action, is by taking action. The more you sit and the more you wait and the more time you spend with that adversity, with the upper hand inside your head, the worse it's gonna get. Taking action, making something happen. It doesn't have to be huge, but if you say, hey, listen, this is what happened, didn't go the way we wanted it to, we're gonna get our gear back on, we're gonna go back out. And it's in your personal life too. You know, something doesn't go the way you wanted it to go, you didn't get the job you wanted, you didn't get the hire, you didn't get the promotion, you can go home and sit there and dwell on it. That's not getting you any progress. Or you say, okay, you know what? Let me do a quick analysis. Why didn't I get that promotion? What do I need to, let me look into how do I get to jump through that gate so next time I will get the promotion, and you start taking action.
You have that potential. It's just you're not putting the effort into it. You are lazy. You want to fit into the group. You want to conform because it's easy. But your oddness what makes you weird, what makes you different, that little strange quirk in how you want to dress yourself, that little strange quirk in your musical tastes, that little quirk in the food that you like to eat, that is who you are. Those are signs from deep within, from your core, from your soul. This is who you are. And if you lose that, not only are you not going to be successful in life, you will also lose yourself, and you will be unhappy, you'll be alienated from who you are. And you can get away with that when you're young because you're happy, you look good. You need a bit of courage in life. You need to go, okay, I am weird, I am strange. Lean into it.
But how to get them to be better than they think they can be? That is very difficult, I find. Inspiration, perhaps. How do we inspire ourselves to greatness when nothing less will do? How do we inspire everyone around us? I sometimes think it is by using the work of others.
Most of the limitations we have do not exist in reality. They exist only in your own mind. And one of the starting points of great achievement is to start questioning those self-limiting beliefs and throw them off and act as if they did not exist.
There is no one like you. There has never been anyone like you. There shall never be anyone like you. Therefore, know yourself. Be yourself. Authenticity is everything.
Man, you gonna get what's coming to you. You gonna get what's for you, man. You don't have to want what anybody else has. Right. You don't have to envy it, be mad about it, wish for it. What God got for you, you gonna get it. Now, you might can prolong it, trying to orchestrate and control the situation and the narrative on your own. But I feel as if what's destined for me, the Creator gonna give it to me. But rejection may be a part of that.
Now is the time to take risk. As you get older, your obligations increase. And once you have a family, you start taking risk not just for yourself, but for your family as well. It gets much harder to do things that might not work out. So now is the time to do that.
I say that madness and genius are next door neighbors and they borrow each other's sugar.
This is true.
You have to be like literally f***ing up almost every other part of your life to achieve real greatness.
Yeah.
Because you gotta abandon personal relationships, you gotta be totally unbalanced, completely obsessed and focused upon your goal.
But I had this fire that I'm gonna be somebody. It has to be there because on all those bad days and all those days you don't want to, you have to be your own motivator, your own coach, your own trainer, your own everything. So to do that, you have to come into work, and work is whatever your work may be, ready to go. And what that means is you may have failed miserably yesterday, but you come to work like, be like, man, you just lost everything. How the hell are you just damn motivated? Because this is what it takes.
But one of the main reasons that people don't get what they want is because they don't actually figure out what it is. And the probability that you're going to get what would be good for you, let's say, which would even be better than what you want, right? Because, you might be wrong about what you want easily. But maybe you could get what would really be good for you. Well, why don't you? Well, because you don't try. You don't think, okay, here's what I would like if I could have it. Imagine that you were taking care of yourself like you were someone you actually cared for. And then you thought, okay, I'm caring for this person. I would like things to go as well for them as possible. What would their life have to be like in order for that to be the case? Well, people don't do that. They don't sit down and think, all right, let's figure it out. You've got a life. It's hard, obviously. It's like 3 years from now, you can have what you need.
I wish someone had told me in my 20s, Mel, take the biggest risks of your entire life right now. Remember, you have time. And in your 20s, you can get so scared and you can be so easily lulled into the idea that good is good enough, that feeling safe and comfortable is what you should always be looking for. That way of thinking in your 20s in particular, dead wrong. I want you to start to create this mindset of taking risks and going big. Because the only constant in your life for the rest of your life is change.
Most people don't focus on their mindset. Most people are focused on exterior factors. They think that everything that happens to them is by chance. And they don't realize that a lot of the things that happen to them are things that they attract. because you attract the things that you are, and you are what you do, and you do what you think about. Most people don't understand the power of the mind. That's why they haven't tapped into the power of the mind. And the power of the mind is one very simple thing: the ability to direct your attention towards a specific given objective, and then to have the willpower to pursue it.
Shouldn't the people know the hero who saved them? Hero can be anyone, even a man doing something as simple and reassuring as putting a coat around a young boy's shoulders to let him know the world hadn't ended.
I laugh every time I hear people saying, yeah, you know, I don't like working for other people, so, you know, I want to work for myself because I want to set my own hours and I want to, yeah, right. Let me tell you what, when you work for yourself, there are no days, there's no Christmas, there's no Easter, there's none of that shit when you work for yourself. In the early days.
It's a grind.
Exactly. It's you're working through all those holidays. Every day something bad happens. Every day there's problems. Every day somebody's trying to you and take what you've built, and you know what I mean? It's a war every day when you get up in the early days.
You know, when you're built different than everybody else, and you have this desire for more, and this desire for achievement, and this desire to win, everybody else looks at you like you're f***ed up, and they'll tell you that too. You know, what the f*** is wrong with you? Like, why can't you just relax? Why can't you just do this? Because I'm just not built that way, man. And as I've gotten a little bit older, I've gotten better at accepting it, and it's sort of embracing the fact that this provides a lot of good, but there's a lot of things that you have to deal with that come that aren't so good.
Gratitude is one of the most overlooked and key principles to your success. If your goal is to be a millionaire and you start out making $20,000 a year, and then God gets you to 50, but you mad because you ain't a millionaire. Well, hold up, man. Do you not remember that just a minute ago you didn't have but 20? So you got to show gratitude for the 50. Then somehow, by the grace of God, you get to 150. It's people making 150 who used to be dead broke, mad because they not a millionaire. Hold up, partner. Do you remember when you was just making the 50? Now you done triple that, and you got to understand that there's joy in the journey. So if you don't show the proper amount of gratitude, you're never gonna be happy, you're never gonna be content, and after a while, man, God gonna get tired of you.
I wanna see people win. I wanna see people win, and if we can continue to find real examples of supporting one another, especially within our culture, if we can really define moments where like we're helping to elevate, amplify, that shit is contagious. After a while, you got no choice but to follow suit.
Maybe your purpose in life isn't related to your job. Maybe your job is your job, and the job is the thing that supports you. And then the rest of your waking hours are devoted to your purpose, whatever that is. And it's beautiful when it happens, but it doesn't always happen, and it's out of our control also.
Yeah.
We can decide. I would say, if you need to have a job to support yourself, that's great. That's a noble thing to do. And follow your dreams. But I'm not saying they're one thing.
Yes.
They don't have to be one thing. And
Yeah.
don't let following your dreams undermine your ability to support yourself.
I was a garbage man. Garbage man, you get 3 hours, you get 8 hours worth of work, but you can do it in 3. So you can go home as soon as you finish. Post office, you get 3 hours worth of work and you make it last 8. I did both, but they weren't bad jobs. It's like, people say, oh, the difficulty of making a movie. I'm like, let's send your son to Iraq. That's difficult. It's just a movie. It's like, relax. I don't play that precious nonsense. Oh, we're moving over. Get out of here. You know, your son got shot in the face. That's difficult. Making a movie is a luxury. It's a gift.
I had big dreams. A lot of us have big dreams, big goals. And when you have goals that are maybe outside your reach, you have to know that getting to that goal, you're gonna have a lot of bad days. So I had to teach myself how to fail right. And what that means is, when I fail, I can't spend much time in that fail zone. I have to be able to get up and get after the next day just as fast. I don't have time to stay here and feel bad for myself for weeks and months and years, because I'll lose that time.
You gotta put your past behind you. Look, kid,
bad things happen, and you can't do anything about it, right?
Right.
Wrong. When the world turns its back on you, you turn your back on the world.
You're out running on the track, working out, and you start talking to yourself saying, man, my knee is really sore right now. Maybe I'm doing too much.
Sounds like me.
Maybe I need to back off, you know. Man, my lungs are burning. Maybe I can just slow down here. I'll do like an extra 2 sets tomorrow. You know, it'll be okay.
Yeah.
Right? That sort of stuff.
Yes.
Like that stuff's dangerous.
Yes.
And that's when you just got to say, you know what? I'm not negotiating with myself.
Yeah.
The deal was already made. The deal was made. When I set out at the beginning of the summer and said, this is the training plan I'm doing, I signed that contract with myself. I'm doing it. You know, throughout that process, you'll start talking to yourself like, man, I think I need to, nope. No, this is non-negotiable.
Yeah, non-negotiable.
Imagine that you're in a movie, and imagine the movie begins now, and you're the hero of the movie. What would that guy do? What would that guy do right now? Because you are.
If you're struggling, if you're frustrated with yourself, if you're at that point where you're so sick of yourself and your excuses, I've been there, Steven's been there. This is a normal part of the human experience. And at some point, either the pain is going to get big enough, or you're going to bump into somebody's story somewhere on this planet who has been in the position that you're in right now, facing the stuff that you're facing right now. And there is something about their story at this exact moment in time that will ignite something in you that is missing. And what is missing in you right now is hope. Because when you're stuck and when you are on a downward spiral, whether it's just in your own head or it's in self-destructive behavior, the thing that's missing in your life is hope. You don't believe right now that anything is going to make a difference. And so until you get to the point where you just hate what you're doing so much that it's worth trying, or you have somebody crack open a door and just a little light comes in and you have this moment where you go, well, what if?
Do I have talent, Dad?
Of course you have talent. You got all the talent in the world.
Can I be a baseball player?
You can be anything you want to be. Remember, the saddest thing in life is wasted talent. You could have all the talent in the world, but if you don't do the right thing, then nothing happens. But when you do right, guess what? Good things happen. You hear me?
Reminder that if you want to be exceptional, you're going to be different from everyone else. That's what makes you exceptional. You can't fit in and also be exceptional. Both have discomfort. When you fit in, you have internal conflict because you're not being 100% you. When you're exceptional, you have external conflict because everyone sees you as different. Pick one. When your friends start to say, you've changed, remember it's because they don't know how to say, you've grown.
And so if someone says, you're not like everyone else, then you can just reframe that as like, I am exceptional.
Survive it any way you can. Pray, cry, scream, holler, yell, crawl, collapse, faint, get up, rinse, and repeat. But the only thing I ask you to do is when life hits you in the gut, survive.